What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a mid-tech knife. This company has been around for a few years now, and they seem to be gaining more and more popularity. I kind of never really cared for their designs, but I figured what the heck, give them a shot. So this is the Wayfarer Compact. Now, as far as I know, this is their smallest knife. They tend to make a little bit larger stuff than I would care for, but I figured, what the heck, we'll give one of their knives a shot. So the blade length is 3.5 inches, so right at about the maximum that I would really ever want to carry. They use CTS XHP steel for, I think, just about all their knives. Blade shape is sort of a modified drop point. You can see it kind of rises up and then drops down here again towards the tip of the knife. The main bevels there are done in an acid stonewash, and you can see they did the same thing with the prominent top swedge. And then the flats are kind of a grinder satin. There's Olamic Tactical's maker's mark or company logo, and then there's the name of the knife, Wayfarer Compact. Oh, I guess this one is not CTS, it's XHP. Let's see, CPM. I don't know what the hell that says. 330 maybe? 330V? Never heard of that. I was almost positive that this was done in XHP when I ordered it. Oh well. I'm sure that's a very comparable steel. Anyways, so fairly decent hollow grind, leaving it pretty thin behind the edge. This does have a very capable blade. You know, it might not be my perfect size, but as far as capability goes, it's outstanding. Extremely sharp out of the box. Pretty thin behind the edge with the hollow grind. See there. Yeah, very thin behind the edge, and they put a really nice finishing edge on there, so it's screaming sharp out of the box. I mean, you get a ton of cutting. They really don't, other than this little sharpening choil there, you're pretty much getting the whole blade as far as cutting edge goes. So plenty to work with. This little hole here is decorative as far as I can tell. I tried many different ways to use that to open the knife, and the detent is, oh, there I go. Why does that always happen to me on video? Just when I say something does or does not work, it always changes right when I'm filming. So yeah, I guess if you really crank on it, you can use that that little hole to open the knife. Now, I do have another version that is a frame lock of this knife, and that one I am positive you cannot use the hole to open the knife. Way too strong. But yeah, it's not easy, but you can use that little hole to open the knife. So red C-Tech bolsters with sort of just like a plain Jane pivot on that side. Same thing over here. But the red C-Tech, sorry, looks very nice. They did a good job of contouring that. Carbon fiber on the handle scales, like a basket weave carbon fiber. Not the most like shimmery carbon fiber, but nicely polished, nicely contoured, and very comfortable. Handle length is about 4 5/8 for an overall length of about 8 1/8, right around there. It is a liner lock, as you can tell, with titanium liners. No anodizing on the liners. It does have a nearly full-length back spacer, which is also carbon fiber. And they did a pretty good job on the back spacer of making it flush. A couple of, like, the little nitpicks that I have with this knife are that the mating of the C-Tech and carbon fiber is pretty gappy, and you can feel it. It catches your finger in a few spots. Same thing on the locking side. It's a little gappy. And the pocket clip kind of sticks out of the... You can see there's gaps all around the pocket clip, which is also 3D milled titanium. So it wasn't really exactly contoured to the carbon fiber. So there's fairly significant gaps around the pocket clip. But it does carry well. It's a little wider than I would probably design myself, but I think it's got kind of a cool look to it. Matches the dramatic shape of the handle. And then you have a lanyard hole. Kind of an interesting position. Usually they're around here somewhere. They went up a little bit higher with their lanyard hole on this knife, but it's not too bad looking. So the flipping action, this does run on caged bearings, by the way. The flipping action is pretty good. The frame lock version is significantly harder on the detent, so it flips quite a bit stronger. But this is not really the type of knife that's going to fall closed. You really gotta give it a good shake. And I've been flipping this fairly consistently for a couple of weeks, so I think this is about as broken in as it's going to get. So I don't think this was ever intended to be one of those knives that's so smooth that they just kind of drop closed. Which is, that's totally fine. Not every maker wants that. The centering on the blade is perfect though, so they were obviously paying attention there. Yeah, it's a decently done mid-tech knife with really nice materials. They're all wildly different. As far as weight goes, this is a pretty big knife at 8 1/8 inches, and the weight is not too significant. I think it's like 4.2 ounces or something like that. It's pretty low. The frame lock one is a little bit heavier, seeing as it's like solid titanium handle scales, but this one is very, very light. The carbon fiber and the C-Tech being extremely lightweight materials. Blade stock isn't overly thick, and it's got a really nice hollow grind, so there's not too much material as far as the blade is concerned. It is well balanced, which is nice. Ergonomically, I think that's probably where these knives excel. That kind of dramatic curve at the end of the handle does a really good job of pulling your hand into position. Nice jimping on the thumb ramp there. So yeah, very comfortable knives to hold and to use. Whether most people would be using a knife in this price range, I would hope so. I would hope that if you bought the knife, it wouldn't just be for show, but that's different for everybody. Some people, when they're spending this kind of money, they strictly want it as like a collector's item or something like that. And I think these are kind of collectible just because of how different they do all of their knives. Tons of different materials for scales, bolsters, some are bolsterless. Just a very good job of keeping the variance high so that you're never really going to get the same knife twice. And as far as the handle shape helping out with ergonomics, it also helps out with looks too. These Wayfarer knives have a very distinct look to them. Sometimes you can get a little bit bored with the way knives look lately with the titanium frame lock flippers. They all tend to look very similar, but you can't really say that about a Wayfarer knife. They all have their own unique look to them, so that's one of the things that kind of drew me to trying them out as well. As far as value is concerned, these are not inexpensive mid-techs. They're pretty pricey. They go around the $800 range, around that $700 to $800 range. So you are going to pay a premium price for these, and for that level of commitment as far as price is concerned, I would have hoped to have seen a little bit better attention to detail as far as like stuff like the mating of the two pieces goes, the pocket clip, tolerances aren't exactly super tight, but they're, you know, they're decent. But all things that when you get into that custom knife price range, because you can get custom knives and very nice custom knives for the price of a Wayfarer knife. When you get into that price range, you really need to step up your game as a maker. You really need to make it worth it to the people buying your knives. And I think Wayfarer, or I'm sorry, Olamic Cutlery, probably, I'm sorry, Olamic Tactical probably does that, or they wouldn't have the following that they do. I think they do have a pretty big following as far as their knives are concerned. I see them everywhere, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do a review. Like I said, this is really not my size preference. I did this kind of because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, and I wanted to give you guys an idea. Maybe if you've been looking at Olamic Tactical at one of their knives, to see if it would be worth it for you. I mean, I'll tell you what, the frame lock version I paid a bit more for. I think that one was a little over $800. But that thing is pretty much perfect in every way. Now there's less places for them to miss these little details on a frame lock. You know, there is no pieces that are mating on a frame lock. But that one was pretty much perfect as far as fit and finish goes. So maybe, you know, consider that when choosing your piece. Maybe, you know, if you don't see something that you really like in a liner lock variant, consider the frame lock, because maybe they do have an issue as far as mating up their handle pieces goes. But other than that, an outstanding knife, and like I said, extremely comfortable to use with a very nice edge. So kudos to Olamic for that, for making it a very functional knife. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I have so many backlogged. I had a recent back surgery that I'm still recovering from. The doctor's telling me it might take a couple of weeks, so it's been hard for me to get out, but I'm trying to start getting around moving now, so I'll get back to start making videos. Alright guys, take it easy and stay tuned for the next video.